Hey guys, it's me, Verilyn. It is 7:32 p.m. on Monday, and I just finished recording my next video blog for bedsider.org. It's gonna be on dating as a nomad, and I'm really excited because I did all my interviews for this one when I was in India. So it's gonna be pretty epic. I mean, take it from me, right? So anytime I do one of these things, that's why I have like the best lighting, and that's when I really go all out with the makeup and stuff like that. Although I don't know what's going on with my effort these days, but that's a whole nother vlog. What I want to talk about today is the whole wife versus mistress thing. I guess my brain is still on Scandal, but then also I've been watching The Good Wife, and I don't even know what channel. I should look that up. What channel it was originally on, but as you know by now, I gave up my cable. Good Wife. I gave up my cable, and so I did the Amazon Prime, the free trial, and I've been watching The Good Wife, and I just finished season 1, and it was awesome. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. And coming off of it was on CBS, by the way. So it aired for the first time on September 22nd, 2009. Jesus. So I'm very, very late. With just finishing season 1. And what's this, Wikipedia? It says The Good Wife is an American television legal drama that premiered in CBS on September 21st, 2009. The guy, Mr. Big, is in it, so I'm really excited. I was really excited to see that. I thought he was just gonna be a throwaway character, like they were just gonna. He's the husband, so I thought he was just gonna like be arrested and go to jail, and he wasn't gonna be a part of the show. But he stayed on. Last episode, he was still there. So last episode of season 1, I mean. So that show coming off of Scandal last week, where I don't want to. It is not relevant to do any spoilers, but if you haven't watched it by now, get your life for real. Today is Monday, like really. Um, the whole idea of me feeling like the side chick or the mistress or the other woman won out after watching last week's episode, and then watching The Good Wife, which is very much about the wife's perspective as the husband. If you don't know it, I'll give you a brief synopsis of the show. It's about a state senator who had a scandal, very Spitzer-ish scandal with like he was dealing with prostitutes, and that came out, and he was accused of taking on sexual favors or taking on these prostitutes for bribes for work as a state's attorney. So, as you can imagine, that's not legal. And so he was and we started off with him being in jail, and like the wife, first of all, dealing with the embarrassment, then having to deal with being a lawyer and having her husband's status affect her work, really, for good and for bad. Her feeling guilty and dealing with it when it was good, and then her having to deal with it when it's bad, right? And then him coming back and her figuring out like how she wants to continue the marriage, and they have religion in there, and they even had the from the, well, not from the mistress point of view, but in the beginning episodes there was the mistress. I want to call her the mistress. I guess technically she's a prostitute. But first I want to say that I don't want anyone to, like, between me saying that thing about side chicks winning out, and now with this topic, I don't want you guys to be misled that I think how can I put this? I believe that for every action there's a no. That's not what I'm saying. I guess what I'm trying to say is kind of hard because yes, I'm a Christian, and yes, I believe that there's good and bad, but I also don't think that I should impose my values on anyone else. Like, so I don't know whether the Bible kind of agrees with that. I know you're supposed to be evangelizing, but I kind of feel like we live in America. You're allowed to do what you want to do as long as it's within the law, right? And I have the belief that escorts or like sex workers to a certain extent is, if that's what you want to do, then who am I to judge you, right? There are so many people that do things for monetary gain in other areas, right? Is there any white collar crimes? Is that any better? You know what I mean? So I've kind of always led on the side of like, if you're doing it and you're not hurting anybody, and both sides kind of know the deal, and both sides are getting a benefit, whether it's the businessman that's getting the benefit of having a woman on his arm that he never would have, and you're getting the monetary benefit. Hey, do you? That's none of my business. So I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, Verilyn is like a Bible thumping, or Verilyn thinks, all sex work is bad, or Verilyn thinks that any woman that does stuff for money or does stuff for status or anything like that is wrong. Like, I don't think that, and that's obviously not what Olivia was doing. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there, because that's something about me I think a lot of people would not assume, because I'm so like pro woman. But I think being pro woman means that a woman gets the choice to be a hoe if she wants to be a hoe, or be, a sex worker if she wants to be a sex worker. Not that all sex workers are hoe, because it could be a job. I mean, in Nevada, it's definitely a job. Anyway, that said, rewinding back to The Good Wife, there was a moment where the prostitute that she was caught sleeping with her husband, videotape wise, was pretty much crazy, right? So it was just they definitely painted her as the deviant, and here's the good wife, right? So like, I'm dealing with that, and then also there's a new show on ABC called Mistresses. And one of my favorite people in this whole entire world, because I was a big Charmed fan. Anybody that remembers Charmed, and also Who's the Boss? So Melissa Milano, she's gonna be in the show, so I'm really excited about it. I don't know much about it except for the previews that I see of women kind of like talking to each other, and then you see them like walking on the beach and it says mistress. So I'm assuming there are a bunch of people that sleep with people's husbands. So that, I guess that's where I fall. I think that if you're hurting someone else, so like in The Good Wife, you're hurting the wife, or in Mistresses, they're probably, the other woman sleeping. And even in Scandal's point of view, you're sleeping with someone's husband. That's where I think is totally wrong, right? But on the other end, I think there are situations where a woman, so that should not be confused with a woman. So hard for me to say this, but a woman basically using her sexuality as a resource, right? I mean, if a woman's doing that, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's bad. Okay, this is where like the whole vulnerability thing comes in, because it's like, oh my gosh, do I want to be saying this out loud? But that's just, yeah. So I guess I'm putting that out there to you guys. Like, do you like, okay, where's the line crossed? Like, all these shows with Mistress and Scandal, and I guess The Good Wife, which I'm like mad years late on, and that paints the picture of there's a good woman and there's a bad woman, right? The good woman is a wife, the good woman is a professional, the good woman doesn't sleep around, right? Is sexually frustrated a lot of times, because I know definitely in The Good Wife she seems pretty sexually frustrated. And then there's the bad woman, the mistress, or the other woman, or, well, the mistress and the other woman, the same person, or the prostitute, right? In the case of The Good Wife. And they seem to be two different people all the time. And I guess I get really frustrated by that, because sometimes they're the same person, right? A woman can be a professional, a wife, and all this stuff, and still be sexually, not deviant, but sexually curious, or sexually explorative, or sleep around with, just to sleep around. And that's funny, because I had a conversation with Inga about this the other day, and she pretty much was just like, women have a different relationship to sex than men do. A woman that just sleeps around is pretty much being used, is pretty much what's her point. Because we fall in love, we need love. And that's been my experience, but I don't think that's everyone's experience. I mean, from the years of me listening to Dan Savage podcast, which I mentioned, 2 vlogs ago, that I listened to pretty religiously, I know for a fact there are women out there that's not the case. They sleep around just like, I don't even want to equate sleeping around with a man thing, or I just think that those roles and those boxes, I really want to break free. Do you agree with me? Or do you think that I'm full of BS? Or do you think are you surprised that I think this way? I think that I remember the first time I told an ex-boyfriend, and I need to stop calling him an ex-boyfriend, because he's my non-relationship, pretty much the guy that I was in love with, and he told me, like, we were in love with each other, but we were never in a relationship, one of those things. And I kind of was just like being tricked, like I'm in a relationship, but I'm not. I don't want to, I feel like if I say anything else, I would be saying too much. But the long story short is that I knew him for a very long time. And I remember the first time I told him that I don't believe prostitution is wrong. And he was just like so shocked and offended and like surprised just because he knows that I'm pro woman. And I think that people get that confused. Like, just because I'm pro woman, I think a woman has the right to choose, right? And if she chooses to be a prostitute, she chooses to be a prostitute. Okay, I know I went on a whole nother tangent, but I guess all these shows that build up the whole Madonna horror complex, I feel like I've talked about this in a video blog before. How do we kind of reconcile that in our own lives? Is that, okay? I don't think so, but you let me know what you think. All right, guys, it is 10:26. I'm doing good. I'm almost done with my commitment. I think this is number 29. So tomorrow technically can be the last one. I have to figure out how exactly. I promise if I continue it past 30, there will be a lot more structure involved. So we'll see. All right, guys. Peace out.